How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, Oakland, California, has major issues with homelessness. And I've been meant to do this story, and I kept putting it off. And it is horrible, because every time I go to Oakland, it's that bad. My royal family is trash everywhere. Even people are setting up homeless camps around the main Oakland Police Department. I think that gives them a sense of security. And it is dangerous to be homeless. And there are many that are disgusted and irritated with homeless people in America, throughout America. Because, yes, this is truly been at a state of emergency. And I have been reading articles and doing a lot of studying about this problem of being homeless. And I found out, because I've been, researching this for a while, that it has increased greatly in Oakland, California, and this is a spillover from San Francisco. So it's just like, we just gonna, just get out of my face. And it's terrible. It is really, really terrible, my royal family. And a lot of people don't like the homeless, will treat them bad. The president can't stand them. And being homeless, excuse me for this, being homeless is not a crime. People get in all kind of situations. There are people that have mental health issues. You'd be amazed of the people that are homeless and actually have jobs. You would really, really, truly be amazed. So, see what I see in what goes on in America, the unquote land of milk and honey, which is full of shit. They let shit get way out of hand, and now everybody want to jump up, and now they want to do something because it ain't a good look. And it shouldn't have never got to that proportion. Now folks is utterly disgusted. Well, it is all our duty and responsibility to help when people are in need. So here it says, Oakland Home Depot fed up with homelessness camp. Now you would think as much money as Home Depot alone, they would help them. You would really think that. And I got some videos to show the royal family, but I'm going to read this article first. Oakland committee approves new plan to address homelessness. Representatives from Oakland Human Services. Where am I at? Let me start that back. Representatives from Oakland Human Services Department unveiled a 5-year plan to address homelessness, which they call PATH, that is aimed at making homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring. Those words sound good, but they full of shit. These highlights were presented to the Oakland City Council Life and Enrichment Committee held on Tuesday evening. The update PATH report was formulated in the context of challenges of homelessness in Oakland. The report addresses key areas of funding, affordable housing policy, private land usage, public land policy, homelessness prevention policy, and encampment management policy. According to the League of California Cities, there have been a steep increase in homelessness throughout California between 2017 and 2019. According to the group's research, I'm sick of research, in Alameda County, which is home to Oakland and Berkeley, homelessness increased by 43% in that time. And that number ain't even right. I trust and believe it's somewhere in the 80s, because I see it with my own eyes. Armed with the report for the league, council member Noel Gallo, District 5, led support for the path report. He asked fellow council members to act with urgency. I represent District 5, and from there I represent the city to the League of California Cities. We have a homelessness crisis. California tops the country in homelessness, followed by New York. We need to stop talking, and while trying to implement some of the policies, such breaking down encampments, we have to remember that even the homeless people are protected by the law, Gallo said. Come on. Ain't nobody trying to protect the homeless people. They want them out of their motherfucking faces. I ain't gonna cut my words, and y'all know I don't cut my words, because I'm tired of hearing research and all the bullshit that they are talking about here in this damn country. It is disgusting. It is atrocious what the fuck you see, and throughout America alone, there are empty buildings. There are condos and so-called apartments or whatever they building empty, because people can't even afford to rent or buy in California. I live here. I've been living here all my life. I know what I see. I know what's going on. See, when you do these local stories, it piss you off. I rarely do a local story. I rarely do it. And it's just amazing when you go through Oakland and see all the trash everywhere, and they'll put up a few little porta potties. They need a damn dumpsters around there, and they need to hire these people from the city of Oakland on a consistent basis, keeping the city clean, let alone providing adequate housing. They have the money for it. They don't want to help them. They have made being homeless in America a crime. And let's not lose sight, my royal family, that there are children on the streets of America homeless. These motherfucking politicians running around here, where you at, Campbell? You full of shit. Are you going to deal with this shit? Or you just going to talk a good game like you always think you're talking? Are you really dealing with the core of America? Well, as we continue on my royal family, I have 3 videos. We're going to start with this first one.
It's no way to run a business. At least that's what Home Depot is telling the city of Oakland. The company now fed up with the expansive homeless encampment that's encircled its Oakland store. Home Depot officials met this week with Mayor Libby Schaaf to insist the city do something immediately. Do you worry that a big company like Home Depot might leave Oakland?
Absolutely. And let me just be clear, no one deserves the unpleasant impacts of large-scale encampments. The trash, the blight, the human waste. We need to clean these impacts up while being compassionate.
As shown from Sky 7, the problems around Home Depot are many and highly visible. Most of the encampment is on city property adjacent to the store's front parking lot. The metal fencing has been cut in various places. Shopping carts and merchandise apparently stolen can be seen throughout the camp, along with mounds of garbage, tents, and various structures, abandoned cars, and dozens of RVs, both in the camp and out on the street.
The reality is they're serious about leaving because they've lost customers, revenue, and you can look around you with supply. Look at all their material that people are stealing on both sides of the issue, and that's real.
Home Depot pays the overtime for 2 Oakland police officers to patrol full-time, and there are portable security cameras in the parking lot. But still, some shoppers are leery.
I feel a little threatened, especially in the evening.
Do you think twice about coming here?
Yes, I do.
Mayor Schaaf said there are solutions coming. The city hopes to open one of its community cabin sites nearby. The RVs could be relocated, and that dead-end street behind Home Depot will soon be fenced off.
All right. That's the end of that. That is the end of that. I wanted to start out giving the royal family a sample of what's going on. But we're going to get much deeper into it, my royal family. So, let's look at this video number 2.
We've seen it on the streets of San Francisco. Now, Oakland is becoming overwhelmed with a very visible homeless problem. Good evening, I'm Veronica Dela Cruz.
I'm Alan Martin. There has been a drastic rise in homeless camps in Oakland, and city leaders admit they are struggling to come up with a solution. KPIX5's Phil Mateer is in Oakland, where some say the problem is actually a spillover from San Francisco. Phil?
That's right. We're here at Jack London Square, which is the showcase of the new Oakland that they'd like you to see. Shops, people going around, businesses happening, tree-lined streets. But there's another side of Oakland that they're not so eager for you to see. Welcome to Oakland's hidden homeless. In the past year, there's been a growing collection of shantytowns, tents, lean-tos, even shacks springing up along Oakland's BART tracks and freeways. Most of it just out of sight of the city's booming downtown.
You got an extra couple bucks?
But sometimes it's right out in the middle of the street.
Just go out on 85th and International. They take up half a city block.
Yeah, Oakland is not unique and really struggling with the homelessness problem. But we recognize that this is not just a problem around shelter. It is a mental health problem. It is a substance abuse problem. And we have to ensure that we provide services, not just housing, to the people that are on our streets.
It's also starting to become a very visible problem for City Hall.
We get complaints almost on a daily basis. You just see all the homeless folks who are living in encampments, taking all their garbage and throwing all out on the sidewalk.
Do you know how many people you have in the city assigned to trying to deal with this?
And to be honest with you, no.
We approach these encampments with care and compassion. We do have mobile outreach units that come out to offer services and try and get people into transitional housing.
I'm seeing people being pushed around from different areas that they find encampments. They're there for sometimes 2 weeks, they're there sometimes for a month.
People are homeless all over Oakland. Their numbers have risen drastically in the last year, and we're kind of overwhelmed in our abilities to deal with it.
Where we are going to pilot tiny homes as well as explore sanctioned encampments.
And like so many of Oakland's new residents, many of the homeless are coming because they're being pushed out of San Francisco.
And so there's definitely spillover.
From San Francisco?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that absolute problem is now facing the City Hall because they just haven't been equipped for this up till now. This is a city, not a city and a county like San Francisco, where they have a health and welfare department that can handle it. San Francisco's spending $250 million a year on homelessness. Now that problem's coming to Oakland. They don't have the money and they don't have the resources. As a matter of fact, I called City Hall earlier today. They have 3 people assigned from the human services on this problem and the outreach teams. So they're really understaffed, and this is getting to be a problem that's quickly emerging and getting more and more visible.
And Phil, those 3 people, but is there an estimate of actually how many homeless there are in Oakland?
Last year they did a count and they found 1,300. That was the estimate. 6,000 in Alameda County total. How many are moving into Oakland remains to be seen, because they're going to be doing another count in the next couple of weeks. But Alan, I've got to tell you, it's not just the numbers, it's the visibilities. It's moving from neighborhood to neighborhood. And like I said, just like San Francisco, there's the danger that it could suddenly become a problem too big to handle. In Oakland, Phil Matier, KPI X5.
All right, my royal family. So, let's go back over here for a minute. So I showed the royal family the first video, and I've passed by that area often where there's a Home Depot. So they are threatening to shut down their business. Shut the motherfucking down. So you're irritated because people are homeless and you're not trying to come up with a solution. If Home Depot come up with a solution and work with the city, it's a tax write-off for them. So we'll see if they really leave. Because if they see that they can profit from it, trust and believe, they gonna stay. They ain't trying to address this. That's why this has became looking like this. Because these folks, they just dragging shit from whatever. And they are not motivated when you're put in that type of position, however they got there, that you don't feel like cleaning up, washing your ass or nothing. You know, it's a lot of people out there with mental health issues. But if they was really trying to do something, like I said, the city can hire these people, pay them $20+ and that still ain't enough. And especially in California, period. But pay them to work for the city, get them adequate housing. You wouldn't see this. But you wait till it get to the point where it's chronic. Literally chronic. Where is that money? There's tons of people that have donated money for the homeless. They don't want them around. You know, this woman sitting up here talking about she's afraid. Them people don't bother nobody. They don't panhandle in front of Home Depot. Usually they're in there abusing each other. And it's also there are people there that's strung out on drugs. So you got a mixed bag of all type of people when they homeless, even people that have a dwelling, period. You know, you got folks that use drugs, folks that's nasty, the whole gamut. And I also said there are folks that are homeless that holds a full-time job. Because I could do a whole nother story over in Silicon Valley where these people are what you call the unquote .comers, and they got high paying jobs and they living out of their trucks and out of their RVs too. I can flip it around and you don't see all this trash and all this shit too. And they know them people homeless. It's all over America. Lisa had even told me that she had read an article in San Francisco alone. They are renting out beds for $1,400 a month. And those are some of those same people that work in Silicon Valley. This is terrible. So there is all kind of issues going on, like there is all kind of issues going on again with people that have a place to lay their head down and close the door and with a key. So you got all kind of shit out here. It is what it is, my royal family. So the next video is the longest video. Democracy Now! This video is a little over 22 minutes, and we are going to get deeper into it. State of emergency, special report on California's criminalization, of growing homeless. What else do they have down here before we get started? What else do we have here? So, in Democracy Now! Special report, we look at the rise in homelessness in major cities across the United States. California has become the poster child for this economic and humanitarian disaster while growing encampments in Los Angeles and the Bay Area. As more people are forced onto the streets, the state is home to 12% of the country's population, but half of the country's unsheltered people. As the crisis deepens, so has the criminalization of homelessness, with increasing efforts by the city and state officials to crack down on unhoused people occupying public space. President Donald Trump's greasy ass made headlines this month for attacking California's politician over the homelessness crisis, threatening to destroy encampments, increase police enforcement, and even jail unhoused people. But advocates said California has already employed hostile policies that criminalize homelessness, from laws against unsheltered. Let me see here. Let me slow down because these sentences is real close. Oh, here we are. So they have increased police enforcement and even jailed unhoused people. But advocates said, okay, I already read that part. Let's go right here. The hostile policy, excuse me, the sentences are too close. Okay, unsheltered people sitting on sidewalks to frequent sweeps of the encampments that have popped up on thoroughfares and under freeways across the state's city. One of these crackdowns is currently unfolding at a mass Oakland encampment that Democracy Now! Visit just a few weeks ago. So let's check this out, my royal family.
We are in a huge lot that is privately owned that unhoused residents have moved onto, and there are RVs, trailers, there are cars, there are people living in their vans, and then there's some self-built structures.
Oh, wait a minute, family.
Those people's,
This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman. We turn now to the crisis of homelessness in the United States, which is on the rise in many major cities. California has become the poster child for this economic and humanitarian disaster, with growing encampments in Los Angeles and the Bay Area as more people are forced into the streets. The state is home to 12% of the U.S. population, but half the country's unsheltered people. As the crisis deepens, so is the criminalization of homelessness, with increasing efforts by city and state officials to crack down on unhoused people occupying public space. President Donald Trump made headlines this month for attacking California's politicians over the homelessness crisis, threatening to destroy encampments, increase police enforcement, even jail homeless people. But advocates say California is already doing that, criminalizing homelessness, from laws against unsheltered people sitting on sidewalks to frequent sweeps of the encampments that have popped up on thoroughfares and under freeways across the state cities. One of these crackdowns is currently unfolding at a massive Oakland encampment that Democracy Now! Visited just a few weeks ago. Just outside a Home Depot in East Oakland, between busy streets and in sight of the freeway, some 100 unhoused people have been living for months, sometimes years. The people living in this encampment make their shelter in cars, tents, makeshift structures, and tiny houses. It's one of the largest and most visible encampments of at least 90 in Oakland. But Tuesday, city workers descended on the sprawling encampment, cleared part of the site. Unhoused people were forced to leave the area for the sweep, which took 2 days. The other part of the encampment is expected to be cleared next week. The city of Oakland has vowed to permanently close the encampment by the new year. But the people living there say the city has not offered them viable housing alternatives. Homelessness in Oakland has grown by nearly 50% in the past 2 years. Well, Democracy Now! Visited the East Oakland encampment earlier this month to speak to people that live there and their advocates about the housing crisis in the Bay Area. We began with Candace Elder, founder of the community and organizing advocacy group, the East Oakland Collective.
We are in a huge lot that is privately owned that unhoused residents have moved onto, and there are RVs, trailers, there are cars, there are people living in their vans, and then there's some self-built structures. And then there's also people's, commuting cars, and then there's also animals, and then what you see here is also this encampment suffers from a lot of illegal dumping. So they are experiencing some blight issues, but either the city will come pick it up, or sometimes the residents will put it all into piles. And then you see people here, they're cooking, they're burning their trash. So even though it's early in the morning, there's a lot of activity going on.
Talk about who lives here.
So it's a very multiracial encampment. A lot of African American residents. We have some single mothers here. We have senior citizens. We have a large Latino and immigrant population here. A lot of Spanish speakers, and a good mix between men and women. Yeah, so this community has been open for 4 to 5 years now. Some of the original residents are still here, but the community has grown significantly. It is huge.
How many unhoused people are there in California, San Francisco, Oakland?
So recent news has said that California has the most unhoused population in the country, which is why we're seeing a lot of attention. Also, no thanks to Trump's rhetoric on cleaning up California streets. But between Oakland and mostly between the San Francisco Bay Area, particularly Oakland, Berkeley, and San Francisco, and between LA County, particularly in the Skid Row area, you will find the most concentrated numbers of our unhoused residents in California. The Bay Area is experiencing a huge boom, so much to the point where we're probably about neck and neck with LA County. Since the latest point in time count, the count that happens, I think every year and a half, that counts the number of unhoused people on the street in just a short period of time, really early in the morning, produced numbers that there are about 5,000 to 6,000 unsheltered people in Oakland, which is a 47% increase for us since the last point in time count. Community advocates and other data from healthcare organizations actually show that there are more than 9,000 unhoused people in Oakland. That is more of a realistic number because that counts vehicle dwellers, it counts people living in their RVs or trailers, it counts people who are couch surfing. There are even, we have college students now who are riding rapid transportation. They're riding the BART. They are riding the bus, at night in order just to have some type of shelter. So and that's why we use the term unhoused, because it covers the whole gamut of people facing housing insecurity. So those numbers are high, and we need the city to actually, the city government to be realistic about those numbers so they can apply the proper budget and resources.
These words, unhoused, homeless, unsheltered, talk about the choice of words, the description. Do you think it matters?
It definitely matters. How we talk about the problem, how we talk about people matters. So what I have learned from folks who are living the experience, they do not like the term homeless, because home is actually what you make of it, right? So this is people's new homes. It's their new temporary homes. So they're not necessarily homeless. They either are unsheltered or unhoused.
What has caused this latest surge in numbers of people who are unhoused?
Not being able to afford to live here. So we have a high rate of living, which includes very high rents. So the high rents, which have doubled or tripled in some cases, people cannot afford to live here anymore. We need more renter protection. We need eviction defense. A lot of people have been evicted, from their apartments. They didn't have the proper legal resources or representation to fight it. So they're on the streets. So we have to kind of fix these economic, social, and housing barriers in order to be able able to address the homelessness crisis.
Can you talk more about the racial disparities when it comes to people who are not housed?
So in the Bay Area, particularly Oakland, over 70% of the unhoused population is African American.
And what is the population overall of Oakland?
Overall Oakland, we are 28%. So we're very low numbers as far as the
Oakland is a
population.
quarter African American, but 3/4 of the unhoused population.
Yes. And the numbers of African Americans in Oakland has, we've seen a sharp decline due to displacement, due to gentrification. So either folks are pushed out or they're pushed onto the street. So it speaks to these discriminatory, practices and policies in housing, such as renter protection, such as a decades-old history of redlining, Black folks not being able to get, housing loans, being pushed out from certain neighborhoods, and this influx, of the STEM, and these really high wage jobs, but not enough, lower wage jobs, and also not.
When you say influx of STEM, you mean science, technology?
Yes. So we're seeing these influx of tech jobs and influx of people to those jobs, but it's pushing out the most vulnerable and the lower class residents, which is the African American population here in Oakland.
Your name?
Marquez Spikes.
So do you live here at the encampment?
Yes.
You built this house, or someone did for you?
Actually, this house was donated to me from the Oakland School of Arts.
Has it made a difference?
Yes, it has. It's actually a real house that was actually formed by some kids. They actually put it together, they brought it out, put it back up. So it made a big difference.
And how many people live inside?
Me and my daughter.
You talked about having animals so you can be safe. What do you face in terms of safety?
From just being outside, period, since I'm a female by myself, I'm facing being raped, I'm facing being assaulted, I'm facing harassment from the police department by itself, I'm facing harassment from Home Depot just because I'm here and I'm unhoused.
How do you feel about homeless shelters?
It's a good question. To an extent, they're okay for a temporary situation, but right now, with the way everything is going, all it is pushing people from one shelter to another shelter. It's called shelter hopping, which is not a good thing. I think if a shelter is in place and supposed to help you with housing, that's what they need to do while you're there, so other people can come in and get the same help. Certain shelters are picking and choosing who they want to help and how they want to help, and that's another situation on why I'm out here.
Hi, my name is Anita Diaz-Morale. Everyone calls me Nita B. I'm the founder and lead organizer of the Village and Feed the People. Also a co-founder and member of the Homeless Advocacy Working Group and the Bay Area Landless Peoples Alliance and Housing and Dignity Project.
Talk about city housing policy. We're in a state of emergency here in Oakland?
We are in a state of emergency, and a shelter crisis declaration has been declared in 2016. We just got the declaration reinstated this past Tuesday. What the declaration states is that it admits that there is not enough housing, whether not enough units or not enough affordable units to house everyone. And the state of emergency, the homeless state of emergency, which was put in place in February of this year, kind of continues that narrative that there not only is there not enough housing, but because there's not enough housing for folks to have access to, there is a state of emergency and homelessness that's happening, and it's happening across the country. I think California might be the epicenter of it, but it's happening across the country.
What do you think is the solution right now?
The ultimate solution is building deeply affordable housing, right? So if you look at the city's goals and numbers, in the next 4 years, there's more than 50,000 market rate and above market rate units that are scheduled or approved to be built. There are 1,000 affordable units, which in dealing with the average, the median market rate price is $79,000, right? Affordable or deeply affordable units, which is going to be for no income, low income, and working class folks, 200 units. And in the past 2 years, homelessness has increased in Oakland, California by 48%. So their permanent housing is not, pipeline is not to scale to the crisis. So, but the only way they're going to nip this homeless crisis in the bud is by building permanent housing. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is to stop trying to control the crisis so much, release some public lands where people can be and provide them with basic sanitation services, water, sanitation, porta potties, and then depending on the needs of each encampment is totally different. Like,
how many encampments would you estimate are in Oakland?
At least 90. At least.
90.
90.
Made up of how many people?
It depends. Some encampments are as big as 6, and some are like 100, like, more than 100, like High Street.
Do these encampments provide community? Do they provide safety?
They provide community. They provide support. I mean, it's homeless folks are some of the most resilient people, most resourceful people, most creative people you'll ever meet. And the little stability and support and security that people have been able to build for themselves when there is nothing is amazing. And so when the city comes in and knocks these encampments down, they're literally knocking people who are on like one leg up down on both knees. I think what's also interesting is, with Trump just coming to California and, making his big grandstanding about, hurting everyone and put them in government-run camps, and then you have people like Libby or Gavin Newsom, puffing up their chest and being like, no, you can't do that. If you actually look at what they're signing in law, or in Libby's case, what she's actually doing, they're doing the same exact thing that Trump is threatening to do.
So you're talking about Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf and California Governor Newsom. Right now, when it comes to San Francisco and Oakland, what do you think would be the most important thing to happen?
I think on an immediate level, releasing public land where people can park their cars or people can build homes, like safe homes, like those, to kind of weather this crisis, weather this storm until, like I said, the permanent housing is actually built, which isn't going to happen immediately. If we're talking about brick and mortar, like, traditional brick and mortar housing, that's going to take 5 to 7 years. But if we're talking about alternative housing, like tiny homes, which the mayor is completely opposed to because she said it's too permanent. So that kind of lets you see their agenda. Their agenda is to build for the new Oakland and to ignore what we call the town, right? They don't want, that's why everything they're doing is temporary. But to just release public lands, and in those public lands, provide services. If this, this is a disaster. And if it was a fire, if it was an earthquake, the response would be so quick. But this is an economic disaster. This is a cultural disaster. This is a housing disaster, but they're not treating it like all the other natural disasters, and they need to.
What's your name?
Elizabeth Easton.
Hi. And is this your tiny house?
Yes, it is.
Can you talk about how you came to be here?
Yes, I was living in Beaumont, Texas. I have children here, but I was living in Beaumont. And Harvey hit, Hurricane Harvey, and it was devastating. So I had to leave from there. I came back here.
How has it been to live here?
It's hard because it's a lot of different, cultures, and we have problems with users and some that don't, so it gets kind of difficult sometimes, but so far it's getting better. I think so.
How does it compare to Texas?
I've never experienced anything like this in Texas.
What do you mean?
People have a tendency to, when they see someone homeless, they help. They'll find you a place to live. As far as a place to live and food, go to Texas. You're not gonna see much of this at all. At all.
Do you feel forgotten here?
I know I am. Tossed aside.
Tossed aside. That's Elizabeth Easton, one of the residents of the East Oakland encampment, partially cleared earlier this week. Her tiny house remains standing, but most of the surrounding shelters have all been destroyed by the authorities. After leaving that encampment, we traveled just down the road, passing a number of tents under the freeway to arrive at a smaller encampment where at least 10 people were living in trucks and makeshift structures. Enclosed by fencing on a busy street corner, the encampment sits near the freeway and just blocks from the Fruitvale station, where 22-year-old African-American Oscar Grant was shot to death by a BART police officer on New Year's Day in 2009. Some of the people living on this cramped lot were forced there when a larger encampment across the street was shut down by the city earlier this year. When we got to the area, one of the people living there came out to greet us, Aaron Edmond, known as Crooked Eyes or Crook. In the 90s, he was a member of the hip-hop duo Steady Mobbin', whose first record made the Billboard Top 40. What's your name?
Crook.
And how long have you lived here?
I've been here for about 2.5 to 3 years. Yeah, I was herded down here for the city of Oakland. They got a lot of people on 16th, which is like 4 blocks up, and they had all the police round us up and say all the homeless people are designated to come down here to this, that land that's gated up right there. That used to be open land, and they told us all to come down here, and they even picked us up and dropped us off down here.
They picked you up like in buses?
They picked us up in police cars and drove us down here and told us this is where we have to be. It's either this or jail.
And then you came down here, and then what happened?
We came down here, then they wanted to take the land back. As a city, it seemed like they don't care. All they want to do is acquire land to build property for the rich to make more money off of, and the poor is just being decimated at every turn.
We're just going to move inside this encampment because the noise and the fumes from the truck, from the street, it's a little overpowering. If you were to apply for a job, you need to be able to give an address. What would you do based on you living here?
I would give the gas station's address, or an address that's close to me, that's right here or something like that. That's all I could do. I mean, I have no home, no way to, or.
So how long have you been without a home?
For about 5 years.
And how does it make you feel? What does it do to you?
It makes you almost feel unhuman. And I mean, because society stereotypes a homeless person as a person that's on drugs, a person that's don't want to do nothing, a person that's just giving up on life, they just want to go sit by the wayside and do drugs and just give up on life. That's not true. A lot of us was here, like I received Social Security, for my mental health state, but
you're on SSI?
Yeah, I'm on SSI. But when they raised the rent, and I only get $850, and now where I was paying $450 is raised up to $900, and I only get $850. I mean, where's the room for groceries, PG&E, light and gas, water? I mean, it leaves no room for nothing. So when that happens, you have two choices. Either you're gonna go commit crime and try to stay up in there, or you coming out here.
How has being without a house changed you?
It has humbled me. It has made me very grateful for when I did have a home. And for all those that do have a home, that you really have something special. I mean, because when at nighttime, when it gets cold, you have adequate shelter. You don't feel the wind. I feel the wind. I feel all the elements. I have next to no shelter, and it's like, I really feel humbling. It's a humbling experience.
Where do you live here?
Right now, I live in the back truck that's right behind this structure right here. It used to be a U-Haul truck, and I made it into a little room and shelter, to keep me from the elements and, to try to keep warm and dry at times.
Can you show it to us?
Yeah, sure.
Where do you dream of living?
I dream of living anywhere that's a home, that's a house that has running water, a faucet, a bathtub. I would really love to take a bath for a change. I mean, I would really like that. I mean, that would mean the world for me, just to take a bath or a hot shower, normally like other people. Anywhere, anywhere I would be given a chance to stay, I would treat it like a mansion. I mean, it would be like my everything.
That was Aaron Edmond. He said he last took a bath maybe more than 7 months ago. He's known as Crooked Eye or Crook. In the 90s, he was a member of the hip-hop duo Steady Mobbin', whose first record made the Billboard Top 40. Now he is homeless in Oakland. And that does it for our broadcast. Democracy Now! Is currently accepting applications for paid 6-month internships here in New York City studio. Learn more at Democracy.
All right, my royal family. One thing that I can say is that what I like about this video, and I watched it the first time, I wanted to watch it for the first time with the royal family, was that they really depicted how atrocious it is. And I'm glad that core truth was told, because the mayor and the governor of Oakland, California, and the governor of California itself are full of total shit. The title is right. Absolutely right. That's why I put the title that I put. It's a crime being homeless in America, period. And so they shuffling people around, and see, they can house all of these people. But the reason why they won't house these people, because it's not a good business decision for them, because they won't make anything, because the little money that these people make won't fully impact their individual pockets. You see how things are going on in America? Oh yeah, and I wanted to add, there's a lot of veterans that fought for this country that are homeless. So you have, like I said, a mixed bag of who's out there. Lo and behold, somebody was in the music industry, homeless, and the brother have some mental health issues. That happens. It's not a wonder that just in the royal family alone, the abuse that we have been taking for centuries, that even more of us are out here just because of, unquote, just our mental health alone. Again, it is a crime in America to be homeless. And each individual have a unique story. And people should not judge them, because any of us could end up exactly in that situation. Exactly. We don't know what's going on with these people. And even people have family, but there are people that are prideful and they don't even want to ask their family for help. Again, it is a crime to be homeless in America. Land of the, what they call it, land of the free and the home and the brave. Now we are looking at the shithole in America. And it's much deeper than that, my royal family. But the thing that I love the most, we are truly in the age of exposure, and this situation in America is at, again, biblical proportions. They can't hide it no more, and we must continue to expose these things. You know, we have to advocate for folks that can't advocate for themselves, and we all playing a part. Like I said, you got your foot soldiers and stuff. You got people like me to do videos. Everybody play a part in this. And trust and believe, for this to be in this particular situations, that they could have been did something. All they do is have meeting after meeting after meeting. This is what I wanted to show y'all. I've seen this. I've passed by this more than once. And they have these temporary, and when I read the article about this a while back, they're nothing more than tool sheds, and they put some cots in there and no heat at all. In fact, I'll let y'all watch the video yourself. Let me see here. Let me do this real quick.
The city of Oakland expanding its top.
Let me do this real quick so I won't get jumped on. I have a way that I do what I do. So let me put this up, and then we'll be at the end of that, my royal family. So you can get a bird's eye view of what's really going on. How they so-called help folks. Okay, make sure the volume is up on that. And then I will be done.
The city of Oakland expanding its Tough Shed program for the homeless. It's now opening up a second location on Northgate Avenue and Sycamore Street. The first one is on 6th and Bush Streets. KPIX5's Phil Mateer explains these shelters could be popping up all across the city. Phil?
That's right. You know, for years, Ken, homeless areas like the one behind us, these little shanty towns, have been all over Oakland's warehouse district, largely unseen by the public. But last year, they've moved into the downtown, and that's caught the mayor's attention, and she says that she's got to get tougher. Here's the story. Welcome to Oakland's newest gated community. Paid for with $150,000 in private grants and donations, the 20 sheds you see here will house about 40 people from Oakland's ever-growing tent encampments. It's Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf's fast-track way of handling a problem that is exploding all around her.
When I go through a street encampment, I am horrified. I'm horrified that we're allowing our fellow man to live like this, but I'm also horrified that the city of Oakland looks like this.
And that now includes the city's iconic Lake Merritt Park. Just ask any of the lake's daily walkers and joggers about the homeless. How many more homeless did you see here than last year?
Maybe twice as many.
I see more and more garbage and trash laying around, and that's a problem.
Which brings us back to the Tough Sheds. You see, once the shelters are opened later this week, the tent encampment next door has got to go.
We then clear and clean that area, and we do prohibit re-encampment, new people moving into that area.
It's the same tactic that the city took in this section of West Oakland earlier this year when the first Tough Sheds went up.
They will get services where they will have a...
So that's the end of that BS. And I should have let y'all know that when they did this was May 7th, 2018. Now they house only 40 people. The mayor of Oakland is full of total shit. She full of shit. She playing a game her damn self. And what I wanted to say when I had read the article about these sheds, they have no heat in them. It's just 2 cots in them, and that's that. Because she wants to keep it unpleasant as possible. And it is safe because they have a guard there 24 hours. They do have portable showers and toilets on the outside. You have to step outside of it and stuff like that. And the ultimate goal, they claim, but I don't believe shit that they say, they have to stay for a period of time, and the time that they stay, that they are working on them getting permanent housing. But there's only 40 people there. So when they kicked those people out of that camp, they couldn't house all of those people. Like I said, they just push them around. They just want them to go. Like I said before in the earlier part of this is a spillover from San Francisco. Again, it is a crime to be homeless in America. They could put these people in housing immediately. But on top of that, in putting them in adequate housing, they still need further help. You got people out there that have some serious mental health issues, and it is increased when you are in these streets having to watch your back. It is not safe. People start abusing drugs, become alcoholics because they are in the sunken place. Also, it is depressing when you cannot wash your ass on a daily basis. This brother said he has not bathed for 7 months. That will mess with you. And our folks are clean people. That'll get to you. And then I can take it a step further, a woman being homeless and having to deal with her cycle and everything is a major issue. I watched a whole video about it, never even thought about it, ran into it in the world of YouTube, and I was like, damn, I never even thought about that. You know, most women I would think would like to keep their ass clean in that particular situation. So that's another added messing with your psyche. So it is what it is, my royal family. This is terrible, but we have to report stories, even stuff that make us uncomfortable to give to exposure of all of this stuff going on. Really, really sad that, again, it is a crime being homeless in America. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.